RC fans, Racing 393. We're here on Raceroom today. I've decided to do a open wheel formula. It's ironically one of my favourite styles of racing. I'm always into my open wheel. Yeah, I do like Formula One. Has its faults currently, but I think historically. I've always watched Formula One. I think a lot of that is because it's been on regularly on TV. I think from my early age, I can sort of think 80s. I can remember early 80s. Well, it seems to be on a Sunday, so I know it's been on for longer. But regarding things like all the tin tops. Back then, it was only on very occasionally, maybe touring cars was on. So my kind of grounded roots are in open wheel, although I actually prefer watching tin tops over the course of my racing sort of interest. But anyway, so it's enough about what I like. So we're going to go same as before actually. We're going to take this car around Brands Hatch. This is kind of 90s spec V8 using the sequential shifter rather than the paddle shifts. So I've got my sequential. I'm not sure, you pretty much better see me. You better see me shift. Maybe I'll try moving the camera, but that's usually a mistake once I start fiddling around with it. So I've moved the camera. You can see more of me, the steering wheel at least. I can't move it much further over because it affects the, as you can see on my head, the track IR. So you can see my gloves. You can see when I shift. Right, here we go. Let's get on track. So here we are, sat in the pits at Brands Hatch, getting the car running. So we're in the pits, as you can see. We're just going to head out.
60 kilometers per hour.
With Brands Hatch, I always think that the line there is the limiter line. It's not until the cones there. I always forget that. So yeah, we're going to go out on the sort of the reconnaissance lap, if you like. It's what I find with the sim, the sort of the tyre modelling, if you like. I feel takes a little bit of time to get up to temperature. And what I also noticed, the little widget in the corner there, if you keep an eye on that, the tyres do degrade, more so in practice, and that was close, more so in practice than and qualifying than the race. I think the tyres were some qualification tyres, I think. So the first sort of lap out of the pits is always very tentative, as you can see. The AI tends to work fairly well. Another close call there. I do try to give a little bit of room in racing, bit of racing room, unlike the F1 at the weekend, although I disagree with the penalties there, by the way. Racing's racing. So as you can see, we come down. Now I've edited some of the laps out, and I've tried to keep it fairly uniform. So we come down to the start-finish line, and we're going to start a lap now. Down into Paddock Hill Bend.
Sector 3 is 0.8 off the pace.
I find the cars in the game here, I'm actually quicker than the AI. It's very easy to overshoot druids there. I'm trying to name the corners, aren't I? I'm not sure this one. Is that Grand Hill Bend? Is it that one? Cooper Straight? I find this corner, this left coming out onto the
Sector
main
1
Grand
is
Prix
0,
circuit, very, very
left 1
difficult.
off the pace.
As you can see, they're running over the rumble strips. It's quite common. Down under the bridge where Johnny Herbert had his crash back in 88, 89. A very fast right-hander there into a slightly tighter right-hander. And then this is sort of my favourite part of the track. There's another car squeezing past, coming into the sheen curves and what is called Dingledale. It's more of a sweeping right-hander. And another difficult left-hand corner, slightly banked, as you can see. For some reason I can't get round there clean as we go sort of under the bridge into Clearways, that's called, and onto the main straight for a lap. So not a bad lap overall, I think, as you can see. It's a bit of practice. At that point, was it 12th quickest? Hasn't really said yet. If I've returned to the garage. Well, it hasn't got positions, ironically. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th. So I wonder why it hasn't got positions on there. I've never noticed that before. Anyway, I think the force feedback on the wheel is just too high. So I've turned it down a little bit. So we're going to go into a bit of qualification. Notice I've got factory traction control and factory ABS. I'm not sure. I didn't want to use that if it didn't have it. I'm not sure if the 90s cars had that. I think some of the top teams may have done. But it hasn't made me the quickest, so we'll keep it on at the moment. We've got the force feedback multiplier 2.2, so it just about peaks on like cornering when the wheels hit the rumble strips. It just about goes over. It doesn't feel odd, feels good to me, so we'll go for there. Let's get some qualification. Here we are again in qualifying. So yeah, so we're just starting the lap. Again, it's an edited version. I just picked a lap that I thought was reasonable. I don't think it was the quickest. As you can see the time on the dashboard there, it's showing if I'm up or down on my previous lap. So it must be on my first lap, or I made an error. I think it's my one of my first qualifying laps. The tyres, I believe, in qualifying are qualifying tyres. So this wear quicker, get hotter quicker, and you tend to have more grip. You can certainly feel the steering load up on these corners, especially these fast ones here that you get. Again, we're overtaken there on a quali lap. The track IR actually really helps here as we go through one of my favourite corners, Dingledale. A bit wide there, I'm not sure what that corner is there. I want to say McLean's, but I don't think it is. So we're coming down to the lap when we finish the lap. There we have it. So that was quite intense. That really is even if those factory TSC and ABS is working, you can still feel the car losing traction when accelerating, and under heavy braking it locks up. But that's not as quick as I was in practice. 1:15.9, 2/10 off of the next place, 19th. Looking at my sector times, quicker in sector 1. Sector 2 was quite a lot off. Sector 3, so sector 2, the middle part of the track is where I'm losing. So yeah, I think that's because sometimes I'm using too much of a lower gear. Is that right? No, when I'm supposed to be going around in second, I'm doing third, for example. So we'll see if we can fix that in the race. So we're going to finish that there, and you can join me on the grid for a clutch start. So welcome to the grid. I'm on the back. I'm not going to be doing much talking. 15 minutes. It's probably going to be something like 7.5 laps, maybe 8, if I last that long. Same rules apply. If I crash within the first lap, I can restart. As soon as I cross the line to start the second, it doesn't matter what happens, that's it. So either again, about a 25-minute video in total, or about 8 minutes. Oh. Right, we'll see how we get on. I'll see you on the grid. So here we are at the start. Can't quite see the start line, so they've got these graphic up.
Get ready.
Not sure if we can turn that bit off. And away we go. So not maximum revs, but you can hear the wheel spin. You can feel that through the wheel into sort of the opening lap of this race. It's really important on any race, real life or sim, that you kind of allow the cars to kind of settle down a little bit. As you can see, I did dive down the inside. I don't think it was to much avail because I was still at the back. You can see great the sparks that came up off of the cars there as they ground out on the the racetrack or the curb. Amazing. It feels when you sat in the cockpit, it's really, really good. So we're coming down now to the back straights with the speed. We're trying to get into the slipstream. No DRS in the real world of racing here. It's out and out proper overtaking. We're sort of staying with the cars, although it kind of doubled up on there a little bit, and I made a bit of an error around there, but I tried to go around the outside, but not enough room. So we stay with the pack for now, just trying to get the tyres warm up, get used to the car. It does feel slightly different to what it would in qualifying. I think that's the tyre modelling. Nice dust effect there coming onto the main straight for the opening lap. No places gained, but nothing lost. No actual damage either, according to the widget there. Into Paddock Hill.
Left side, there's a car.
And into Druids, find the car.
Left side,
I'm quicker than the AI here, genuinely speaking. This is Graham Hill Bend. Is that Cooper Straight, or is that Cooper Straight and Graham Hill Bend's behind? I won't mention the names anymore because I don't know them off the top of my head. But we've made up a couple of places. 18th we are now out of 20. So we're following this chap around. So one thing about Raceroom is, although the tracks, they're not scanned, to the best of my knowledge, they're not scanned. As we catch them up here, going up to Dingle Dell, so we'll just leave that here to see how close we get. Very close. Yeah, so the tracks, I don't think are scanned, the older ones, but they're not updated either. So some of the tracks sort of progress over time with decor, sponsors, and that's where Raceroom doesn't really excel. It's kind of stagnant. I'm not sure if that really makes much difference as we hit the car in front. Look at the widget. I don't think we've got any damage. It kind of backed up there with the brake race. Yeah, so it doesn't really make a lot of difference, I guess. But when you have gone onto a track in another sim which has been updated or recent, it makes these tracks look dated. Although comparing to itself, they do look tidy. Some nice graphics going on now. Nice, like I say, sort of detail effects of the sparks and the flames busting out of that exhaust there, and the dust when the car goes wide. These particular cars are fantastic, or these 90s ones here, because you can feel the force feedback kind of load up in the corners and lighten up the car goes light. Really, really good. And it's as you can see, they're using the track IR to its maximum effect. Looking behind, and we're trying to get into the slipstream a little bit there. We're trying to gain this next position. We're still in 18th. It's across the line. And down to sort of Paddock Bend, Paddock Hill Bend. See if we can outbrake him here. I'm sure.
Left side.
Yeah, we've got down the inside. Easy to overrun there at Druid, so really good.
Keep this line.
But he got back past me here, so we didn't.
He's still there. Left side's clear.
Shut the door, squeeze him. Didn't want to make a crash. I got this far. But we're staying with the pack, and it's a really, really enjoyable race as we chase them down the back straight under the bridge. All right, Herbert, and into these sort of series of right-hand bends, which are kind of there. This one, they kind of back up there a little bit. Get this one right, and you can really make up some ground here in Dingledale, just over that curb. Into my least favourite or successful corner on this left, slightly banked, so it should work well, but I lose a lot of time there. As you can see, they sort of gain a lot. And again, it's a funny line in here. I'm not sure I take it correctly, but the sort of the apex is kind of around the corner further, and you sort of drift the car out wide. You can see I'm being caught there by the driver behind, so we try to sort of minimise our speed a little bit to the corner so we don't overshoot. Yeah, sort of whacked into it, and that did, if you look onto that graphic, did damage the car. That was my fault. Anyway, we're still there, 17th so far. We sort of skipped a lap or two, so I did get past that red car that was in front of me. We're chasing now 16th, 15th. We're in 16th. So a quick check on the mirrors. Come around a couple of sort of right-hand bends, progressively tighter at this point. Using as much curb as I can. Trying to roll it through Dingledale.
Okay, Dean, you're halfway home. Got plenty of fuel.
Which we sort of gain a bit here. I'm aware that this corner limits my skill level. We'll do our best. You can see that we have sort of kept up with the car in front. Kind of better on the brakes. The car feels pretty good, even though it's got that damage. So, according to the widget, it's got damage.
You're 2/10 off the pace in sector 1. Sector 2 is.
But it hasn't really made a lot of difference.
Sector 3 is 0.9.
Got a good run here up to Druids.
Be on the left.
I thought that was quite a clean overtake, sort of a late apex. And on to the next couple of laps. I tried to sort of edit the racing so it doesn't make too much of an impact on what you're watching. So there's another lap, so we're on time. That's what I should have got lap. Has he got time? 2 minutes. 14th position. So sort of towards the end of the race now. You can see there we're gaining on the car in front. 12th position. No. I should go back to scores, shouldn't I? 13th position. So we're sort of staying with him, catching him on the corners. The car feels pretty good. Tyres haven't worn that much. And when I turn the force feedback down on the wheel,
just 2 minutes left.
It was quite strong. You can see that it's a pleasure to drive.
Sector 1 is 0.39 off the pace.
You can see when I'm changing gears. So a lot of the just go for the position. Ran a bit wide there. That was the thing. So I was almost outbraked myself.
Come on, Dean.
Yeah, as I was saying,
Keep it coming. Yellow flag.
the amount of time you drive one-handed, yellow flag. Another position gained.
Green flag.
Yeah, so the force feedback, no, not the force feedback, the gear changing, the amount of times you're driving one-handed would replicate, I would think, real life around a track like this on a car similar with sequential. You do try to sort of do the proverbial brake in a straight line before you turn in. It's not always viable when you're really pushing. But once you get into a rhythm, the gear changes are really, really easy. I have done H pattern around here, but this is sequential. As you come up to the start finish line, we've got an extra lap to do, I believe, which I've sort of edited a little bit that out. We're still in 12th position. Run wide. I sort of done my gears late. I knew that was going to happen as well, and I was conscious that I wouldn't have caught the guys in front. I didn't want the guys behind to catch me. As you see, they did make some ground, but we survived, and across the line to finish 12th.
P12. Okay, that's the finish. Well done, mate.
Well, there you have it. A 15-minute race. 12th from the back. Pretty good. I'm pleased with that. Looking at my lap time, my fastest lap was a 1:15.3. Pretty comparable to the top half dozen. Yeah, really good. That's really hard work. It's especially hard work trying to do the sequential and trying to drive one-handed. But I thoroughly recommend you give this a go. I did leave factory ABS and traction control on. As you can see, mistakes can still be made. So, anyway, that's race 1. I'm not doing race 2. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.